Distraction is one of the enemy's most dangerous weapons because it doesn't come with alarms or flashing lights. It sneaks in quietly, disguising itself as entertainment, busyness, or even friendships that seem harmless. You think you're just unwinding or staying social, but what you don't realize is that something or someone is pulling you away from your purpose bit by bit. The distractor isn't necessarily a bad person. In fact, they often come with good intentions. They're the friend who always wants to hang out, the coworker who constantly needs your help, the family member who fills your time with endless requests. But if you're not careful, you'll find yourself saying yes to everything except what God has called you to do. Some distractions are disguised as opportunities. You pray for clarity, and instead of hearing God's voice, you get flooded with offers, invitations, and new commitments. Not every open door is from God. Some doors are distractions designed to keep you running in circles instead of moving forward. The enemy knows he can't take your calling, but if he can keep you too busy to pursue it, he's already won. The worst kind of distraction is the one you justify. Social media, endless scrolling, binge watching. None of it seems harmful at first. I just need a break, you tell yourself. But suddenly, that 5-minute break turns into hours, and before you know it, you've spent more time consuming than creating, more time watching others live their lives than building your own. There are people in your life right now who are keeping you entertained but not enlightened. They make sure you're always busy but never productive. And here's the scary part. You don't even notice it happening. Distraction doesn't feel like an attack. It feels like comfort. It feels like relaxation. It feels like fun. But if something is pulling you away from what God has assigned to you, it's not just harmless, it's strategic. The enemy will use distractions to keep you from praying. He'll make sure your mornings start with notifications instead of devotion. He'll fill your evenings with meaningless conversations instead of moments with God. He knows that if he can keep you distracted long enough, you'll lose the hunger for his presence. And once that hunger is gone, you'll start accepting a life that is far beneath what God has planned for you. Sometimes the distractor is someone you love. They don't mean to hurt you, but they always need your time, always have a crisis, always pull you into their world. And while you're helping them, your own dreams are collecting dust. You were called to help others, but not at the cost of your own purpose. There is a difference between being a servant and being a slave to someone else's distractions. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you if he can just keep you busy with the wrong things. And before you know it, you're years down the road wondering why you never stepped into the life God had for you. Doubt is a slow poison, and the most dangerous part is that it often comes from people you trust. The doubter isn't always an enemy. Sometimes it's a friend, a family member, or even a mentor who thinks they're just giving you realistic advice. They don't attack you outright, they just plant small seeds of uncertainty. Are you sure this is the right path? What if it doesn't work out? Maybe you should have a backup plan. And over time, those questions start echoing in your mind, making you second guess what God already confirmed. The most painful thing about the doubter is that their words stick with you long after the conversation is over. You could be on fire for your purpose, confident in your calling, ready to take the next step. And then one comment, one skeptical look, one dismissive laugh, and suddenly your confidence shakes. You start replaying their words in your head, and without even realizing it, you let their doubts become your own. Some people doubt you because they doubt themselves. They couldn't chase their dreams, so they assume you can't either. They settled for less, so they expect you to do the same. They don't mean to discourage you, but they're projecting their own fears onto your future. And if you're not careful, you'll inherit their insecurities instead of walking in your own faith. The enemy loves to use people who are close to you because their voices carry more weight. You might not listen to a stranger, but when your own parent, sibling, or best friend questions your path, it hits differently. You start wondering if maybe they're right. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you don't have what it takes. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. To keep you in a cycle of hesitation, afraid to take the next step. Doubt doesn't just come through people, it comes through circumstances. You step out in faith and suddenly everything starts going wrong. The money doesn't come through, the support isn't there, doors start closing, and you begin to think, maybe this isn't meant for me. But understand this, the enemy will always attack when you're closest to your breakthrough. The resistance isn't a sign to quit, it's a sign to push harder. Some of you have been holding on to a vision, but you've let too many doubters speak into your life. You keep waiting for confirmation from people when God already gave you the word. You keep looking for reassurance from those who were never meant to understand your calling. And the longer you wait for their approval, the further you drift from the assignment God has placed on your life. There will always be people who don't believe in you. There will always be people who question your dreams, your faith, your ability. But their doubt is not your problem to fix. Their lack of belief doesn't change what God has spoken over you. And if you spend your life trying to convince people who were never meant to see your vision, you will waste the very time God gave you to fulfill it. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you. He just has to make you doubt yourself long enough that you never step into what you were called to do. The manipulator never comes to you as an enemy. They come as a friend, a mentor, a partner, someone who seems to care about you, but underneath their kindness is control. They don't tell you what to do outright. They make you feel guilty for not doing what they want. They twist your emotions, use your loyalty against you, and make you feel like you owe them something. And before you realize it, you're making decisions based on their expectations instead of God's direction. Manipulators know how to disguise their control as concern. They say things like, I just want what's best for you, or I'm only looking out for you. But somehow what's best for you always benefits them. They make you question your own judgment, doubt your own instincts, and second guess the very things you were once sure about. They don't push you, they pull you, making you feel like walking away from them is the same as walking away from love, friendship, or family. One of the most dangerous things about the manipulator is that they play the victim. The moment you start pulling away, they make you feel like you're abandoning them. They remind you of all they've done for you, all the times they were there, all the sacrifices they made. And instead of feeling free to follow your purpose, you feel guilty for even considering it. But understand this. Someone who truly loves you will never use guilt to keep you close. Manipulators don't want you to think for yourself. They keep you dependent on their advice, their opinions, their validation. Every time you make a decision, they find a way to make you question it. And over time, you start trusting them more than you trust God. You start waiting for their approval instead of listening for his voice. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. To keep you so wrapped up in someone else's influence that you forget the authority God has given you. The manipulator doesn't just control what you do. They control how you see yourself. They make you feel like you're not strong enough, smart enough, or wise enough to move forward without them. They make you believe that without their guidance, you'll fail. But the truth is, they don't want you to realize your own strength, because the moment you do, they lose their power over you. Some of you are stuck in relationships, friendships, or environments where you're constantly being manipulated and you don't even see it. You keep justifying their behavior, making excuses for their actions, convincing yourself that they mean well, but deep down you know something isn't right. You feel the tension, you feel the weight, and yet you stay because walking away feels harder than staying controlled. There are people in your life who only support you as long as you stay small. The moment you start growing, the moment you start stepping into what God has for you, they start pulling you back. They start questioning your choices, making you feel selfish for wanting more, making you feel ungrateful for wanting change. But understand this, your growth is not a betrayal. Your obedience to God is not disloyalty to people. The enemy doesn't always attack you with force. Sometimes he just places the wrong people in your life and lets them do the work for him. Betrayal doesn't come from an enemy. It comes from someone you trusted, someone you let close, someone you believed would always be there. And that's what makes it cut so deep. The betrayer isn't a stranger throwing stones from a distance. They're the person you defended, the person you confided in, the person you never thought would turn against you. And yet here you are, left picking up the pieces of the trust they shattered. The betrayer doesn't always show their true colors right away. At first, they seem loyal, supportive, even protective. They celebrate your wins, encourage your dreams, and make you feel like you can count on them. But when the moment comes, when jealousy creeps in, when opportunities arise, when their own interests come first, they don't hesitate to sell you out. And the worst part is, you never saw it coming. Sometimes betrayal comes through words spoken behind your back. You thought they were in your corner, but then you hear what they've been saying. You find out they've been feeding others lies, twisting your words, making you out to be someone you're not. And suddenly people look at you differently, not because of what you did, but because of what they were told. And now you're left wondering how long they've been smiling in your face while stabbing you in the back. Other times, betrayal happens through silence. It's not what they said, it's what they didn't say. They had a chance to defend you, to stand up for you, to have your back, and instead, they stayed quiet. They watched you take the fall. They let others believe the worst about you, and the pain of realizing that their loyalty had limits hits harder than anything they could have said. The betrayer isn't always malicious. They're just weak. They put their own comfort above your friendship. They chose what was easy over what was right. They sided with the crowd instead of standing for the truth. And while they move on as if nothing happened, you're left carrying the weight of their choices, replaying every moment in your mind, trying to understand how someone who claimed to care about you could hurt you like this. There's a unique kind of loneliness that comes after betrayal. You start questioning everyone. You wonder who else might be hiding their true intentions. You become guarded, hesitant to let anyone in, afraid to trust again. Because if the person you believed in the most could betray you, what's stopping anyone else from doing the same? And little by little, you start isolating yourself, thinking that maybe it's safer to be alone than to risk being hurt again. The enemy loves to use betrayal because he knows it leaves wounds that don't heal easily. He wants you to stay in that pain, to let it harden your heart, to make you bitter and resentful. He wants you to dwell on revenge, to waste your energy proving yourself to people who don't even deserve a place in your life. But what he really wants most is for you to close yourself off so much that you miss out on the people God actually sent to walk with you. Some of the greatest lessons come through betrayal, but only if you refuse to let it define you. Some people were never meant to go where God is taking you, and sometimes betrayal is the only way they get removed from your path.